It's courgette season. Courgettes? More like morgettes. I've got a lot of courgettes to use up. I do like them, but today we're going to look at a way of making them into kind of oven fritters that are almost pizzas. So yeah, this is a recipe that was kind of all over YouTube and probably other video sharing and social media platforms as well, often with quite a clickbaity title saying just courgettes and oats or something. It does use courgettes and oats, but other ingredients too. Anyway, I've got 3 nice courgettes here. I'm going to kind of eyeball and improvise the ingredient quantities, but I will weigh them so that you can replicate this exactly if it's a success. 480 grams, so basically 500 grams of courgettes, half a kilo. In a minute we're going to grate these courgettes, skin and all, but first, an onion. So about half of this is a kind of medium-sized onion here. This half of the onion is going to be mixed in with the courgettes. So I want to cut this into nice small dice, which I tend to do like this. I know there are techniques for leaving the root on, but I don't find them particularly time-saving because the onion's harder to peel when you leave the root on. Anyway, so just cut 2 ways like that. One way then the other. And we've got small dice. I suppose if I had a million onions to cut, then maybe it would be worth having a technique, but as it is, just go slow and don't cut your fingers off. My courgettes, not even going to bother taking the tops and tails off, and I'm just going to grate these. There we go, so that's 1 grated courgette. Some variants of this recipe have you squeeze the liquid out of that. I'm not going to bother today, because the liquid in the courgettes will hydrate the flour and oats we're going to add later. Two courgettes. And the reason I'm making this is a recipe that does actually use up courgettes. A lot of people suggested to make zucchini loaf or courgette cake. The trouble is with that, it's a lovely cake, but it only uses 1 courgette. It's not really a solution to a sudden glut of courgettes. Okay, 3 courgettes. Some of it's stuck on the walls now. So 3 courgettes grated and half an onion. To this we're going to add about a teaspoonful of dried marjoram. Oregano would be just as good. I might go for a bit more than that. Probably a heaped teaspoonful of dried marjoram. And about a teaspoonful of salt. Now that salt will start to bring some of the moisture out of the courgettes, but that's fine. There's going to be an ingredient in here to soak this up in a moment. We want a cup of rolled oats. Okay, let's call that 100 grams of rolled oats. And about half a cup of self-raising flour. 75 grams. That might be a little bit over half a cup, but it's fine. And then we'll just carefully give that a stir to get those dry ingredients together with the courgettes so the moisture can transfer. So the moisture from the courgettes will hydrate the oats and flour. There is another liquid ingredient going in just a moment, which is eggs. Next, cheese. I've got 2 varieties of cheese. This is red Leicester, which is a kind of cheddar type cheese, but with a distinctive flavour, distinctive orange colour, and quite a high fat content. And then this, which is vintage cheddar. This is a very mature cheddar, nice and sharp, tangy taste. I'm going to use about half and half of these, and I'll weigh it as I go. Yeah, I think we'll go for 75 grams of red Leicester, and then some of this lovely mature cheddar. You can tell how mature this is because if you listen, you can hear the little gritty whey granules in the cheese against the metal of the grater. Oh, and there's a dog noise there. I don't know if you heard that. That's not helpful. The scales have just gone off. Okay, well, I will carry on going and we'll weigh it a different way. But first, someone needs a little treat. Got a paw on. Can I have a paw? Good girl. That's it. Right, not convenient that those scales went off while I was in the middle of weighing. That's really weird. But anyway, I will zero them. Oh, it's out of range. Also not helpful. Well, anyway, we'll weigh that. 251 grams. We'll take the cheese out. And we'll weigh that, 112 grams. 251 minus 112 is 138 or something like that. So about 100. Do you know what? I'm going to put a bit more cheese in because I think I would have stopped at 150. So I will put a little bit more of this cheese, this stronger cheese in here. Let's call that 150 grams of cheese. Now, if you don't like really cheesy cheese, you can use whatever you like in here. Any hard cheese will work. I happen to like a really pronounced cheese flavour. If you want it even more cheesy than this, you could go for things like pecorino or something like that. One of those really, really powerful cheeses. So that's the dry-ish ingredients, sort of mixed. Next, 2 eggs. These are just medium-sized eggs. And immediately you can see that the thing is starting to cling together. It's starting to form almost like a cake mix. I wonder what would happen if you bake this as a loaf. We're not going to bake it as a loaf, we're going to bake it as little kind of fritters. Right, that's good. So just lightly brushing this metal tray with oil so they don't stick too much. When I made this before, I've just grabbed handfuls of this, formed it into a ball and flattened it out on the tray. But I think today we'll make it a little bit neater. Put about a couple of tablespoons full of the mixture in a pochette ring like that. Flatten it down. Lift it off. These might spread a tiny bit, but they generally don't. So I can squeeze them together on the tray here. I'm actually only going to put 7 on this tray because I've got an idea for something else. This is one of my Hungarian wax peppers from the greenhouse. These are really nice stuffed actually, but we're not stuffing peppers today, although actually that courgette mix would make an awesome stuffing for these. What I'm actually going to do today is chop these up nice and fine. I'll just taste a bit of this pepper for heat. Tiny, tiny little bit of fire to it, not a lot. And that's going to go into the remaining mixture, together with some chili flakes for a bit more heat. Maybe about a teaspoonful of chili flakes there. And some smoked paprika. Maybe a teaspoonful. I'll give that another good mix to get those new ingredients incorporated. Looks pretty good. I'll do these on a separate tray because Jenny doesn't like quite so much spicy as I do. Alright, that's it. So that's all the mixture used up, but we're still not finished. Lovely homegrown tomatoes. I think I'll just quarter those. The 3 of these little courgette things are going to get just a tiny dab. This is tomato ketchup, don't hate me. It's just tomatoes, sugar and vinegar. Just a tiny little dab of ketchup in the middle. In the middle, I said. Less than half a teaspoon each. And then my tomato quarters on top. Okay, so that's those 3. We'll do a couple of them plain, and then 2 of the others we'll put an extra little bit of cheese and onion on them. So here, I want really, really thin slices of onion, almost transparent. And we'll just put a little heap of those on the top there. And then a little bit more of the red Leicester cheese on top of those. Red Leicester because it's the melty cheese. Okay, so we've got 2 plain, 2 with extra cheese and onion, and 3 with tomato. And then we've got 4 with some extra pepper. And you know what, I might do 2 of these with extra cheese and onion as well. And maybe on these we'll use the mature cheddar. So all of those now go into a medium oven for 20 to 25 minutes or until they look crispy and they puff up a little bit. Alright, these have had about half an hour and I would say they're done. They have merged a little bit, which is a tiny bit disappointing, but never mind. And so I'm just going to take them off the tray and put them on this rack to cool, because these will be way too hot to eat right at the moment. Oh dear, that one came apart. Never mind, I'll leave that on the tray. I think these could go a little bit longer in the oven, but I don't want them to taste at all burnt. Okay, run out of space. I'll find another home for that. There we are, 4 different varieties of courgette oven fritters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different varieties. 5 different varieties, really. Just going to let those cool a little bit and we'll give them a taste. This has cooled down a little bit now. I'm going to taste this tomato-topped one that's broken up on the tray because I suspect these 2 intact ones here might be Jenny's favourite. That's pretty good. It's difficult to describe what they're like because they are a little bit bready because of the oats and the flour in them, but they're also really moist and light, and at the same time really tasty with all that cheese in there. And now the rest of them cooled down a little bit. Just have a look at the underneath so you can see it's gone almost glassy there where the cheese has melted and it's baked onto the tray. I'm going to taste this one, which is the cheese and onion topped spicy version. Oh, it's really good. That is really good. The extra peppers definitely make a big difference. And that little bit of fire from the chili flakes works exceptionally well. Yeah, really happy with that. So there we go, a variety of cheesy courgette oven fritters made from homegrown courgettes and has temporarily alleviated the glut of courgettes just in time for me to go out and pick some more. I hope that's been interesting. Thanks for watching and I hope to see you again soon.